CTV is probably the highest growth and most dynamic corner of the industry right now from an inventory standpoint. And it's because it's promising sight, sound, and motion, full consumer engagement, and so on. But it suffers from an interesting market dynamic in that demand outstrips supply. And because inventory is scarce and coveted, it's driving up prices, and it's encouraging and driving the attention of fraud. And fraud is getting more and more sophisticated. Fraudsters are using a machine tool belt to emulate CTV inventory and impressions and human traffic patterns better than ever before. We saw 3 times the number of fraud schemes, year on year over the last 2 years. And so you can see that this is fertile terrain for fraudsters. So that's one area that has to be addressed. The other is content transparency and brand safety, right? Brands want to make sure that their brand equity is protected everywhere they place their investment. That means every channel, every format, everywhere around the world, including CTV. And again, today, really because of market dynamics and market forces, suppliers have a lot of power, and they're not necessarily providing show-level data and the same level of transparency that the advertiser might see elsewhere. And I would expect that as that category continues to grow and evolve, that pattern will probably shift. But those are 2 strong areas: content transparency and a glut of fraud, which we are preventing. AI, these are the 2 most powerful vowels in the industry right now, and it's been heralded as the miracle, but there's also a lot of mayhem that it's causing. In terms of the goodness of AI, it's promising increased operational efficiency. It's taking over repetitive manual tasks, and so it's easing the burden on organizations. Creative flexibility, the ability to use AI to drive dynamic creative development and optimization in response to cues that a media buyer might have, something about the audience or the region or something else in the bid stream. Hyperdynamic, the ability to synthesize disparate data sources into something that's cogent and can be acted upon, so data analysis and so forth. And then last but not least, and I would say for us, this is the number 1 most exciting area, it's dynamic optimization. So it's using AI to buy more efficiently and effectively in a programmatic environment, driving better output for the brand and better outcomes, ultimately. And in the last year, we bought a company that gives us a capability where basically through Scibids, which is the acquisition, our data can be used in a programmatic sphere next to cost data, bid stream data, first-party data, and the advertiser can set a custom KPI and bring its own algorithm to the DSP of its choice. And the algorithm, using a predictive regression, will dynamically buy in such a way that it is maximizing achievement of that KPI while minimizing cost. And that, in a nutshell, is superior media efficiency and effectiveness. In terms of the perils, so again, AI in the hands of users everywhere is driving a lot of creative freedom. Everyone is a maker now. OpenAI tools are letting it be even more easy to create content, generate content at scale. But that in turn is also feeding a glut of misinformation, disinformation, fake information, deep fakes, etc., that is flooding the internet, in the form of UGC. And at its most benign, that's chipping away a return on ad spend, and it hurts the advertiser and their checkbook. And at its most malevolent, it's actually influencing society and users who are reading and viewing and being manipulated or influenced by content that is patently false. Another area that I mentioned is fraud. Fraudsters are using AI and machines where what we might have seen a few years ago was easy to detect with the human eye in terms of anomalous traffic patterns, now is getting a lot smarter, and it's a game of whack-a-mole where they morph and shift and adjust their techniques to evade detection. And so we have to fight fire with fire. We're actually using AI to combat AI because it is so dynamic in the fraud space.